What's cooking, Silverback Nation? You're in the jungle with Patrick and Rico. Today is Friday, June 9th. We're coming off of a 2-2 Game 3, making our record for the season 104 wins against only 76 defeats, 28 games above 500. Do yourself a favor. If you're not yet a subscriber, click that subscribe button, click the like button, click the notification bell, so you don't miss out any times these bets go live. What we've been doing this year has been great. We didn't start until March. We're still having a great season. And everyone who's a subscriber before next season starts, because we're going to be doing this all season long. We're going to have 1,000 bets. We're going to make you a lot of money. Is going to get some special perks. So don't wait on subscribing. Anyone who subscribes before the start of the next season is going to get some special perks. We're going to have a really good year. I can't disclose what that's going to be now, but you're not going to want to miss it. We talk about the way we bet in our strategy. And I talk all the time about a few things. We bet on probability and opportunity. And what we see here is, and it gets a little redundant, and I know that when it's get down to the finals and it's the same guys you bet on because that's the only game going on. I know it gets redundant, but we still there's money to be made, and we still have to place those bets and still have to do our research. And the formula we use, I say this all the time, players are what their average says they are, regardless of what happened last game, the last two games. And that's the theme of these bets today. We're going 3-0 today, guys. Bank on it. And that formula, that philosophy is the reason for how we're doing this. And again, so take for example, right? Our first bet is Michael Porter Jr. over 16.5 points and rebounds. And you might say to me, Silverback, SB, you're crazy, man. What gives? He's only averaged 23 minutes a game in the last two games. What, and he's had under 12 points, rebounds in both these games. Why are we betting him? Well, here's why. Because the player's average is what he is, okay? And we have to bet on that probability and opportunity. For example, in the playoffs, he's averaging 21.7 points and rebounds. His line has dropped from 20.5 down to 16.5. His last two games, right? Game 2 and Game 3, he's been under that pretty heavily, but his 5 games prior to Games 2 and 3, Michael Porter Jr. had 27, 25, 24, 23, and 25 points and rebounds. So you bet your ass we're taking him over 16.5 points and rebounds. The way we do this, what our philosophy is, guys, it's not only to get the mimosas flowing, to get the bankroll growing. We're doing that today. But our philosophy is this. If I told you today to bet $1,000 on who's going to take the most shots or have the most points, you never know, right? It's so hard to predict. So here's what we predict, right? Again, we look at the past, we look at the history, the probability, and here's the best analogy that I have for you. It's like we take a coin, heads and tails quarter, and we weight the head side of it, okay? Now, if you flip that coin once, it could end on tails. But if you flip it 100 times, 1,000 times, it's going to come up on heads, the weighted side, more often over the long term than it does tails. And that's what we bet on, the probability of things happening. That's the only way to make money in sports betting. So that is, you got our first pick. Let's go to pick number 2. Same philosophy all day long, Silverback Nation. Gabe Vincent over 12.5 points. Same thing. His line was at 14.5 at Game 1. He's that player. He's a player whose line should be around 15 points a game. He's hit this over 12.5 in 6 of his last 8 playoff games. Even though he scored only 7 points in Game 3, he still took 6 3-pointers, and he's averaging 15 points a game in the playoffs. Our last pick of the night for 3-0, KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, over 7.5 points. Line dropped from 10.5 from Game 1. They don't know what to do with these lines. He hasn't hit this in any of the 3 games this series. That's why it dropped. But before this, he hit this number over 7.5 easily in 6 of his last 7 games. And he's averaging over 11 points a game in the playoffs. Subscribe, follow. We got big plans for what's going on with the SB Nation, guys. Make some money, have some fun, enjoy the games, crack that mimosa, and we'll see you for Game 5 on Monday with a little more scratch in your pocket.